tech adorned their bodies. Their clothes, made of some synthetic fiber, seemed laughably insufficient for even minor physical threats. Yet they walked with a peculiar confidence, as if none of that mattered. They didn't approach the grand hall like most newcomers. Other species had a tendency to display their strength, showcasing their advanced weaponry, technology, or evolved defenses in an effort to impress the council. The humans brought no such displays. They entered quietly without fanfare and took their place in the section reserved for observer species. I leaned toward the delegate beside me, a Thothis whose energy-shielded carapace shimmered with faint orange light. They seem underwhelming, don't they? I whispered. The Thothis flicked one of their sensory tendrils dismissively. Soft skins. Not long for the galactic stage, I'd wager, probably relying on their technology. But I had seen their ships when they arrived simple and functional, lacking the elegant design of Silthar craft or the biomechanical brilliance of the Keylocks. If the humans were relying on technology, it wasn't the kind that made an impression. When their representative, Ambassador Thorn, rose to speak, the murmuring died down. It wasn't due to any commanding presence. Thorn's voice was calm, steady, but unremarkable in volume or tone. Yet something about the way they carried themselves made the room fall silent. "We are here to observe," Thorn said simply. "That's all." The simplicity of the statement sent a ripple through the room. Observer species usually came with long-winded speeches about their aspirations or their gratitude for being included. Some begged for alliances, others flaunted their strengths, but no one had ever said they were merely here to watch. The Zyrathian delegate, their crystalline form pulsing faintly in amusement, spoke up. "Observe? You've come all this way just to watch?" "Yes," Thorn replied. "For now." There was no arrogance in their tone, no defensiveness. Just a statement of fact. The council dismissed them after that, as they always did with species they deemed unremarkable. But I watched the humans carefully as they resumed their seats. Their stillness wasn't passivity. It was the patience of predators waiting for the right moment to strike. The first refusal came quietly, almost unnoticed amid the endless debates of the Galactic Council. It was a minor dispute, the kind that barely registered among the more pressing issues of interstellar politics. The aquatic Yikral and the insectoid Verican had been squabbling for decades over a resource-rich moon in a binary system on the fringe of their territories. It wasn't the first time they'd clashed, and it likely wouldn't be the last. Normally, disputes like this were handled through council mediation, a process steeped in ceremony, where delegates would argue their cases for days, sometimes weeks, before agreeing on a compromise that left neither side truly satisfied. This time, though, something unexpected happened. When the humans were invited to observe the mediation process, the council's intention was clear. Include the newcomers, let them see the delicate machinery of galactic diplomacy at work, and perhaps impress upon them the value of peaceful resolution. It was a token invitation, one extended to observer species as a gesture of inclusion, not because anyone expected them to contribute. But instead of attending, the humans declined. Their message was short and unadorned, delivered in text rather than the multi-sensory displays preferred by most species. "We don't do that," it read. At first, the council thought it was a misunderstanding. The Silthar mediator, whose translucent body glowed softly with shifting hues, reached out to clarify. "What exactly do you mean by don't do that?" they asked, their voice radiating a practiced calm. The human representative, Ambassador Thorn, didn't seem flustered by the question. "We don't mediate disputes that don't involve us directly," they explained. "If the Yikral and the Vorican can't work this out themselves, they can fight for it. We're not interested in sitting around while they argue over a rock." The reaction in the council chamber was immediate and incredulous. The Yikral delegate, a shimmering mass of gelatinous membranes, quivered with indignation. "Fight for it? That's barbaric. Mediation is the foundation of interstellar peace." "Then mediate," Thorn said, their tone maddeningly indifferent. "You don't need us for that." The Varikan delegate, a towering insectoid with chitinous armor that gleamed under the chamber's lights, clicked its mandibles in what might have been agreement. "Perhaps the humans have a point. Mediation wastes time. Direct confrontation is more decisive." That only stoked the council's outrage. The Silthar mediator's glow shifted to a sharp red, a sign of rising agitation. The Galactic Council exists to prevent such confrontations. Humans, you've been granted the privilege of observing our processes to learn from them. Your refusal to participate undermines the very principles we stand for. Thorn didn't flinch. Your principles are yours, not ours. We're here to observe, not interfere. And with that, the humans removed themselves from the discussion entirely. The incident was officially recorded as a misunderstanding, though privately it sparked whispers of concern. A species that refused to engage in the most fundamental aspect of galactic cooperation. It was unprecedented. To some, it was a sign of arrogance. To others, a warning. As for the humans, they returned to their quiet observation, unbothered by the storm they'd left behind. The incident that changed everything began like so many others before it, with the Ixikari Empire announcing yet another conquest. The Ixikari were infamous throughout the galaxy, a warlike race of crustacean-like beings encased in dense bioceramic armor. Their aggression was legendary, and their conquests were a matter of routine. This time, their target was the Lithari, a fragile, ethereal species of glass-bodied beings who relied on the Galactic Council for protection. The Council's response was predictably slow. Resolutions were drafted, debated, and amended. Calls for a peacekeeping coalition went unanswered as member species bickered over logistics, resources, and risks. Meanwhile, the Ixikari forces advanced with ruthless efficiency, their war fleets carving a path through Lithari space. Pleas for aid poured into the council chambers, but action seemed as distant as ever. Then, the humans acted. They didn't consult the council, didn't wait for approval or support. Without warning, a single human vessel appeared in Ixikari space. It was not an impressive ship by galactic standards, an angular, utilitarian craft that lacked the elegance of Silthar energy webs or the organic fluidity of Keloq's bioships. The humans' broadcast was brief and direct, delivered in a monotone that seemed almost dismissive. Seize your attack. Withdraw from Lithari territory immediately. The Ixikari High Warlord, a being as arrogant as he was powerful, was amused by the demand. The idea that a lone human ship could pose any threat to his fleet was laughable. He responded with mockery, broadcasting a message of his own to the entire sector. The soft skins dare to challenge us. We will crush you as we have crushed the Lithari. And then he opened fire. The Ixikari's war fleet unleashed a barrage of plasma, missiles, and kinetic projectiles, a display of overwhelming firepower that could have vaporized a small moon. To everyone watching, the outcome seemed certain. The human ship would be obliterated in seconds. But it wasn't. When the dust cleared, the human vessel was still there, hovering calmly amidst the wreckage of the first wave of Ixikari projectiles. Its shields, if that's what they were, had absorbed the assault without so much as a flicker. The humans responded with a single shot. What happened next was hard to describe. The Ixikari fleet didn't explode in the conventional sense. It seemed to disintegrate, the massive warships crumbling into dust as if their molecular bonds had been unraveled. It wasn't just destruction, it was obliteration, precise and absolute. The High Warlord, stunned and defiant, tried to rally his remaining forces, but it was too late. In less than 10 minutes, the Ixikari fleet was gone, and their invasion was over. The council convened an emergency session as news of the incident spread. The chamber was filled with a mix of awe, terror, and outrage. Delegates demanded answers, accusing the humans of recklessness, aggression, and a blatant disregard for council protocols. The humans, as always, were calm. Ambassador Thorn addressed the council with the same measured tone they always used. You weren't going to act, they said simply. We did. The simplicity of the statement was chilling. It wasn't defiance or arrogance, it was the voice of a species that had seen enough inaction to know when words wouldn't suffice. The aftermath of the Ixikari incident sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Species that had once dismissed the humans as insignificant were now scrambling to reassess their assumptions. The humans' actions had shattered more than a war fleet, they had broken the Council's illusion of control. The Grand Hall became a hive of panic and speculation. Delegates whispered in hushed tones about the sheer power the humans had demonstrated. The obliteration of the Ixikari fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Even the Thalvis, whose energy-based technology was considered among the most advanced, admitted they could not replicate such precision destruction. For the first time in centuries, the council was afraid. This cannot stand, declared the Silthar delegate during an emergency session. Their glowing form flickered erratically, a clear sign of distress. The humans acted unilaterally without council approval. They've undermined everything we stand for: cooperation, diplomacy, balance. They saved the Lethari, countered the Zyrathian ambassador, their crystalline body pulsing with uncertainty. If not for their intervention, the Lethari would no longer exist. And what happens when they decide we're the problem? The Silthar retorted, their glow intensifying. They've demonstrated the ability to bypass our authority entirely. Who's to say they won't turn those weapons on us next? The debate raged on, each species revealing their fears, their biases, their vulnerabilities. The Thalthis were concerned about the humans' apparent immunity to advanced energy attacks. The Varikan were alarmed by their adaptability and lack of hesitation. Even the stoic Ykril admitted unease at how effortlessly the humans had dismantled the Exokari fleet. In the midst of this chaos, the humans themselves remained silent. Their delegation attended the sessions but refrained from defending their actions or engaging in the escalating arguments. Ambassador Thorn sat in their assigned seat, their expression unreadable, as if the rising tension around them was of no concern. The council's frustration boiled over. A motion was introduced to reprimand the humans formally and demand an explanation for their actions. When Thorn was called to the center of the chamber, every eye was on them, every sensory organ tuned to catch the slightest sign of weakness. You acted without council authorization, the Silthar delegate began, their voice reverberating with indignation. You violated our protocols, endangered our stability, and displayed a recklessness that cannot be tolerated. Explain yourselves. Thorn's reply was maddeningly calm. We acted because no one else would. The Lethari called for help. You debated. We responded. That is not how the council operates. Maybe it should be, Thorn said, their tone devoid of malice but carrying a weight that silenced the room. Diplomacy has its place, but sometimes action is required. You talk about principles while people die. We prefer to save lives, not arguments. The response stunned the chamber. For all their outrage, no one could deny the truth in Thorn's words. The council had failed to act, and the humans had succeeded where they had faltered. But this clarity brought no comfort. Instead, it deepened the council's unease. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Council was confronted with a species that didn't need its approval. A species that was willing to bypass its authority entirely. The humans weren't just a new player on the galactic stage, they were a challenge to the very foundations of the council itself, and no one knew what to do about it. Fearing what the humans might do next, the council devised what they claimed was an olive branch, a series of joint military exercises designed to foster cooperation. Behind closed doors, however, the real purpose of the exercises was clear: to assess the humans' capabilities and determine just how much of a threat they posed. Official invitations were sent to the humans and other member species, carefully worded to emphasize the spirit of unity and shared learning. Most of the council members expected the humans to decline, given their apparent disdain for council processes. But to everyone's surprise, the humans accepted without hesitation. The exercises were set on an uninhabited moon in neutral space, a barren wasteland of rock and craters that provided the perfect setting for simulated combat scenarios. Fleets from 5 council species arrived, each fielding their best soldiers and most advanced war machines. The Silthar deployed their shimmering energy web drones, delicate yet deadly. The Zyrathians brought their crystalline infantry, impervious to most conventional weaponry. The Varikans sent massive armored beasts bred for battle, each carrying squads of insectoid soldiers. And then there were the humans. When their ship landed, the delegates watched with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Instead of an army or a fleet, the humans disembarked with just 12 individuals. 12. No tanks, no war mechs, no drones. Just a handful of humans in what appeared to be basic, lightweight armor, armed with weapons that looked laughably primitive compared to the energy cannons and plasma rifles of their counterparts. Whispers rippled through the assembled forces. They must be joking, the Silthar delegate said, their bioluminescent glow flickering in disbelief. 12 soldiers? Against entire battalions? They're testing us, a Varikan officer hissed, trying to provoke us. The exercises began with a standard capture and hold scenario. The humans assigned to the weakest position were expected to be eliminated quickly. The other species assumed the humans would observe the inevitable outcome and learn their place. What happened instead was chaos. The humans didn't fight like anyone expected. While the other forces relied on overwhelming firepower and calculated strategies, The humans moved with terrifying efficiency. They used the terrain to their advantage, disappearing into craters and rocky outcroppings before launching precise, devastating attacks. The Silthar drones were shredded by bullets that moved faster than their energy webs could react to. The Zyrathian infantry, thought to be impervious, fell to explosives that shattered their crystalline forms. The Varikan's armored beasts, massive and imposing, were brought down by concentrated fire to weak points the humans identified within minutes. It wasn't just their weapons. It was the way they fought. Each human operated independently yet seamlessly, adapting to every move their opponents made. When one was injured, they didn't retreat, they fought harder. Their resilience was uncanny, almost unnatural. By the end of the exercise, the humans stood alone, victorious, 12 against thousands. The council delegates were silent, their disbelief palpable. The humans hadn't just won, they had dismantled the exercise entirely, exposing weaknesses in the forces of every participating species. When questioned, Ambassador Thorne offered no apologies. "We were told to participate," they said simply. "We did." The council had wanted to test the humans, and they had received their answer. It was an answer that would haunt them for a long time. The fallout from the joint exercises was immediate and explosive. The Galactic Council, once a bastion of carefully maintained order, found itself in chaos. Every species in attendance returned to their respective governments with alarming reports. The humans weren't just powerful, they were something entirely different, a force that defied the galaxy's understanding of warfare, resilience, and coordination. Whispers of conspiracy began circulating in the council chambers. How could a species so seemingly unremarkable, without natural armor or the advanced technology of other civilizations, possess such overwhelming combat capabilities? Accusations flew. Some suggested that the humans had hidden alliances with ancient forgotten powers. Others speculated they had uncovered lost technologies from a precursor civilization. But the truth was far simpler and far more unsettling. The humans themselves remained unmoved by the storm of speculation. Their delegation, led as always by Ambassador Thorne, continued to attend council sessions with the same stoic indifference. When pressed for answers about their extraordinary performance, Thorne offered little insight. "We adapt," they said, as if that explained everything. Adaptation. That single word rattled the council more than any weapon the humans had demonstrated. Every species in the galaxy had evolved to suit their environments. The Tholdas with their energy shields, the Silthar with their bioluminescent defenses, the Varikan with their chitinous armor, each had been shaped by millennia of natural selection. Yet the humans had none of these traits. They were soft-skinned, fragile-looking, and vulnerable to even the most basic environmental hazards. But somehow, they thrived. Council researchers scrambled to understand. They reviewed data from the exercises, analyzed human biology, and interrogated every available source about their history. What they discovered was disturbing. Humans had evolved on a death world. Their home planet, Earth, was a chaotic environment of extremes, unpredictable weather, relentless predators, natural disasters, and diseases that would have wiped out most other species. Where other civilizations had grown in harmony with their worlds, humans had fought theirs tooth and nail. They weren't stronger, faster, or more durable than their adversaries. Instead, they had learned to outthink them, to endure, to push beyond limits that should have been insurmountable. The researchers presented their findings to the council in a private session. The room fell into stunned silence as they explained what made the humans so dangerous. They didn't rely on natural defenses or technological superiority. Their strength came from their ability to adapt to any situation, to turn weaknesses into strengths, and to thrive under conditions that would destroy others. But the most chilling revelation came at the end of the report. It was their nature. They didn't need the council. Their history had taught them that survival didn't depend on alliances or treaties, but on their own ability to endure and overcome. The council's fear deepened. If the humans couldn't be controlled through diplomacy or intimidation, what options were left? For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council faced the possibility of a species that could not be managed. And the humans seemed perfectly content to watch as the galaxy grappled with that realization. The council chambers had never been so silent. The vast hall, usually alive with debates, arguments, and the hum of 1,000 different voices, now felt like a tomb. The delegates of the Galactic Council sat in uneasy stillness, their attention fixed on the humans. Ambassador Thorne stood in the center, unflinching under the weight of countless eyes, their calm demeanor as inscrutable as ever. This was not a formal session. It was an intervention. The council, in its collective anxiety, had convened a closed meeting to address the growing human problem. Rumors of the human's power had spread far beyond the council chambers, unsettling the fragile balance of interstellar politics. Smaller civilizations whispered of seeking human protection, while larger empires quietly restructured their military doctrines in preparation for the worst. The Silthar delegate, whose radiant glow dimmed with unease, broke the silence. Humans, they began, their voice heavy with an attempt at diplomacy. Your actions have disrupted the fabric of galactic unity. You act without consultation, without adherence to our protocols, and now your strength threatens to destabilize the peace we have maintained for millennia. Thorne tilted their head slightly, a gesture that might have been curiosity or quiet amusement. You maintain peace through inaction, they said, their voice steady and calm. When lives are at stake, we act. That is our way. The Zyrathian delegate, their crystalline body refracting light into chaotic patterns, leaned forward. But at what cost? Your intervention in the Ixikari conflict, your performance in the exercises, these actions sow fear and distrust among the council. Peace cannot be built on fear. Thorne's eyes swept across the room, meeting the gazes of each delegate in turn. Peace built on inaction isn't peace. It's complacency. The Lithari would be extinct if we had waited for your debates to conclude. Do you call that unity? The chamber erupted into murmurs, but none dared to challenge the truth of the statement. It was the Tholthis delegate who finally voiced what the others had been too afraid to say. Their energy-shielded form crackled with tension as they spoke. What do you want, humans? What is your goal? Power? Dominion? If you reject our ways, why remain among us at all? Thorne's response was immediate, and it cut through the room like a blade. We don't want power. We don't need dominion. We're here because the galaxy is broken, and we refuse to stand by and watch it fall apart. The statement left the council stunned. For all their fear of the humans, they had never considered that their motives might be so simple. We don't want to rule, Thorne continued. We don't want to destroy. But we will not stand idle while others suffer. If that makes us a threat to your peace, then perhaps it's your peace that needs to change. The room descended into silence once more. The council, so accustomed to its own authority, had no response. The humans were an anomaly, a species that neither sought approval nor required validation. They operated by their own rules, and the galaxy was beginning to understand that those rules were unyielding. As Thorne returned to their seat, the delegates exchanged uneasy glances. The humans had not declared war, nor had they made demands, but their presence alone was enough to shake the foundations of the galaxy's oldest institution. The session ended without resolution. The council disbanded, its members retreating to their respective worlds to ponder the implications of what they had heard. The humans, meanwhile, remained as they always had, watching, waiting, and quietly preparing for whatever came next. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Council faced an uncertain future, and the humans, indomitable and enigmatic, were at the heart of it all.
They cower. His supreme order of Rex is segmented, insectoid arms gesturing with contempt. His multifaceted eyes glimmered under the chamber's artificial light. Their species knows only fear. Humans, as they call themselves, lack the resolve for conflict. Our fleets could reduce them to ash within a cycle. A murmur of agreement spread among the council, but not all were convinced. Counselor Irexer, a hulking figure with translucent skin through which veins pulsed rhythmically, raised a massive hand. And yet they persist. Their allies have fallen silent, their colonies crushed. Still, the humans do not capitulate. His voice was a deep rumble, resonating with caution. There is something unnatural in their endurance. Vrex's mandibles clattered in irritation. Superstition. They are scavengers, incapable of real resistance. We end this charade by decapitating their leadership. The room grew quiet as a shadow passed over the hollow display. An unfamiliar name, spoken in hushed tones by nervous delegates, rippled through the assembly. The boogeyman. What are the rumors? A sharp voice cut through the silence. The assassin? Vrex leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. a myth concocted to instill fear. Even their legends lack substance. But outside the chamber, in the depths of space, reality unfolded to challenge their hubris. Ronald Alexanderson adjusted his gloves, the supple leather creaking faintly as he secured them over calloused hands. In the dim confines of the Phantom, a stealth vessel bristling with classified Earth technology, he stood motionless, his gaze fixed on the mission briefing scrolling across a holographic panel. The light from the screen cast sharp shadows across his angular features. Features that seemed hewn from granite. Each scar and line a testament to survival in a galaxy that had tried to erase him countless times. Your primary target came the calm, almost soothing voice of Alpha, the ship's onboard AI, Commander Soren of Groneth. Eliminating him will disrupt critical supply chains to the Empire's outer fleets. Proceed with caution. Soren's fortress is heavily guarded, and he has a reputation for detecting intruders before they act. Ronald's lips curled into a faint smile, devoid of warmth. Reputation means nothing when you're dead. The AI hesitated, a rare pause in its typically fluid responses. Ronald, the Council is amplifying its efforts. They've labeled you an intergalactic terrorist. You are being hunted. Nothing new, Ronald replied, pulling a sleek, matte black weapon from the wall mount. The weapon hummed softly as it synchronized with his biometrics. Let them hunt. They'll find nothing but shadows. Alpha's tone grew softer, almost concerned. You've pushed your body to its limits. Missions like this, one mistake, and it's over. Ronald glanced at a small photo tucked into the corner of the console. A woman and a child both smiling, their faces untouched by the weight of war. His expression darkened. It's already over, Alpha. They just don't know it yet. The ship shuddered faintly as it slipped into the orbit of Groneth, its cloaking systems rendering it a ghost in the void. Ronald moved with practiced efficiency, securing his gear and checking the seals on his advanced infiltration suit. It melded seamlessly with his environment, an adaptive camouflage that made him little more than a flicker of distortion in the air. As he approached the airlock, Alpha's voice followed him. Insertion point secured. Groneth's atmospheric scans won't detect your presence, but their patrols are erratic. Stay alert. Ronald stepped into the airlock, feeling the familiar pull of tension settle over him like a second skin. The hum of the ship faded as the hatch hissed open, revealing the swirling haze of Groneth's polluted skies. Far below, the industrial planet sprawled like a tumor, its surface dotted with towering smokestacks and sprawling complexes that belched fire and ash into the air. He descended silently, the suit's thrusters guiding him through the thick smog. The target loomed ahead, a fortress of jagged metal and stone perched atop a sheer cliff, its spires glowing with the eerie light of alien energy sources. Ronald landed without a sound, his boots absorbing the impact as he crouched low against the rocky terrain. Groundside, he whispered, his voice barely audible over the faint crackle of the comm link. Proceed to objective, Alpha replied. And Ronald, remember, no unnecessary risks. He smirked, the expression hidden beneath his visor. When have I ever taken unnecessary risks? The silence that followed spoke volumes. Ronald slipped through the perimeter, his movements a study in precision. Guards patrolled in disciplined formations, their reptilian eyes scanning for any disturbance. But they saw nothing, heard nothing. The boogeyman was not a man, they whispered. He was a myth, a phantom born from humanity's desperation. And yet, when the first guard fell, his throat slit cleanly by an impossibly sharp blade. The myth became a nightmare. Ronald moved like a wraith, each step measured, each action deliberate. He bypassed security grids with ease, his knowledge of alien technology uncanny. A lifetime of war had turned him into something more than human, something cold and efficient. The guards fell in silence, their bodies hidden in the shadows. Fortress entry ahead, Alpha reported. You're on schedule. Ronald approached the main structure, his breathing steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The fortress doors loomed above him, their intricate carvings depicting scenes of alien triumph. He placed a small device against the control panel, watching as it pulsed with blue light, before the doors slid open without a sound. Inside, the air was cooler, the oppressive heat of the planet's surface replaced by a sterile chill. The halls were lined with alien banners and trophies of war, grim reminders of the Empire's conquests. Ronald's eyes flicked over them without pause. He wasn't here to admire their victories. Soren's chamber is 3 levels up, Alpha guided. Minimal resistance expected until you reach the central hall. Ronald nodded once, his focus absolute. Every step brought him closer to his target, closer to the moment when myth and reality would converge. The Galactic Empire thought humanity weak, thought him a ghost story meant to scare children. But ghosts had a way of leaving bodies in their wake. As Ronald climbed the final staircase, the weight of the mission settled fully upon him. The door to Soren's chamber loomed ahead, its surface etched with alien glyphs that glowed faintly. He paused, hand hovering over the activation panel, and exhaled slowly. "Ready, Alpha?" he murmured. The AI's response was soft, almost human. "Always." Ronald pressed the panel, and the door slid open. The room beyond was dark, the only light emanating from a massive tank of bioluminescent liquid at its center. Inside floated Commander Soren, his amphibious form twisting lazily in the fluid. His eyes snapped open, fixing on Ronald with a predatory glare. "So," Soren hissed, his voice amplified through unseen speakers, "the boogeyman comes for me. Let us see if the legends are true." Ronald stepped forward, his blade gleaming in the dim light. "Legends are born from truth, Soren. And the truth is, you're already dead." The air on Groneth was heavier than Ronald Alexanderson had anticipated, thick with the acrid stench of burning metal and sulfur. It clung to his skin, even through the filters in his suit, a constant reminder that this planet was a monument to the Galactic Empire's disregard for anything but its own progress. The landscape around him was a wasteland of jagged, blackened stone and molten rivers that glowed faintly under the dull, blood-red sky. He crouched behind a protruding rock, his eyes fixed on the massive fortress ahead. Commander Soren's stronghold was carved into the mountain itself, its towering spires stabbing into the clouds like jagged teeth. Energy shields shimmered faintly over the structure, distorting the air around them. Ronald's gaze shifted to the patrols circling the perimeter. Alien guards moved with rigid discipline, their reptilian forms clad in reflective armor designed to ward off projectile attacks. He noted their patterns, timing each rotation with clinical precision. Heat signatures confirmed 30 hostiles on the ground level. Alpha's voice murmured in his ear. 8 more concentrated near the upper chambers. Minimal automated defenses inside, but motion detectors are scattered throughout. Ronald adjusted his visor, the advanced HUD overlay lighting up with tactical information. And Soren, stationary, central chamber. He hasn't moved since we arrived. Ronald smirked faintly. Comfortable in his tank, I bet. Let's change that. The first guard fell with a barely audible gurgle, Ronald's blade sliding effortlessly through the gap in its armor. He caught the body before it hit the ground, dragging it into the shadows. Every movement was deliberate, every action silent. His suit adapted to the shifting light, rendering him nearly invisible against the rocky terrain. By the time the second guard turned the corner, Ronald was already behind him, dispatching him with the same ruthless efficiency. Inside the fortress, the air was colder, the oppressive heat of the planet replaced by a sterile chill. The walls were lined with alien sigils, their meanings lost on Ronald, but their purpose clear: intimidation. His footsteps made no sound as he moved deeper into the stronghold, bypassing the occasional surveillance drone with practiced ease. Each step brought him closer to his target, but the tension in his chest remained coiled, a constant reminder of the thin line he walked. Motion detector ahead, Alpha warned. 2 guards stationed beyond it. Ronald paused, his gaze narrowing as he considered his options. The motion detectors were standard Empire tech, sensitive to the smallest fluctuations in air pressure. Disabling it without alerting the guards would take time he didn't have. He reached for his utility belt, pulling out a small EMP charge, pressing it against the wall. He triggered it with a soft click. The charge pulsed faintly, sending out a localized disruption that temporarily disabled the detector. He moved quickly, his blade slicing through the first guard's exposed neck in a single, fluid motion. The second guard barely had time to react before Ronald's fist connected with his jaw, sending him crumpling to the ground. He finished the job silently, dragging both bodies into a dark corner before continuing down the corridor. "Central chamber is straight ahead," Alpha said. "No signs of reinforcements, but Soren will be heavily guarded inside. Proceed with caution." Ronald didn't respond, his focus narrowing as he approached the massive double doors that led to the heart of the fortress. The doors were ornate, carved with scenes of alien triumph and conquest. He placed a hand on the control panel, feeling the faint vibration as the mechanism engaged. The doors slid open with a low rumble, revealing the chamber beyond. Soren's tank dominated the room, its bioluminescent glow casting eerie shadows across the walls. The commander's amphibious form floated within, his bulbous eyes closed in what appeared to be a meditative state. Around the tank, a squad of elite guards stood at attention, their weapons trained on the entrance. Ronald's fingers tightened around the hilt of his blade. This was where stealth ended, where the mission became a test of skill and endurance. He stepped into the room, his movements fluid and unhurried, drawing the guards' attention instantly. They reacted with military precision, raising their weapons and opening fire, but Ronald was already moving. The first shot passed harmlessly over his shoulder as he dove into a roll, coming up behind the nearest guard. His blade found its mark, slicing cleanly through the alien's armor. He pivoted, using the body as a shield to absorb the next volley of plasma fire. With a sharp push, he sent the corpse crashing into another guard, knocking him off balance. Ronald's training took over, his actions a blur of calculated violence. He moved like a predator, his every motion designed to disorient and incapacitate. By the time the last guard fell, the chamber was silent save for the faint hum of Soren's tank. The commander's eyes snapped open, locking onto Ronald with a mixture of anger and fear. His voice crackled through the chamber's speakers, low and resonant. "So, the humans send their monster. You have no idea what you've unleashed." Ronald approached the tank, his expression unreadable. "You're not the first to think that. You won't be the last." Soren's laugh was a wet, guttural sound. "Do you think killing me will change anything? The Empire will crush your people." "We will." The tank shattered with a deafening crash as Ronald's blade plunged into its surface, releasing a torrent of viscous liquid. Soren's form spilled out onto the floor, his limbs flailing as he struggled to adjust to the sudden loss of his aquatic environment. Ronald didn't hesitate, driving his blade into the alien's chest with brutal efficiency. Soren's final gasp was a guttural hiss, his eyes wide with shock as his body stilled. Ronald stood over him, his chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. He wiped his blade clean, his gaze shifting to the control console near the tank. Pulling a small data chip from his belt, he inserted it into the console, watching as Alpha began downloading the fortress's encrypted files. "This intel better be worth it," Ronald muttered, his voice low. Alpha's response was immediate. "The files contain troop movements and supply routes. It'll give Earth a fighting chance." Ronald glanced down at Soren's lifeless form. "Then it's worth it." As the download completed, a warning alarm blared throughout the fortress. Red lights bathed the chamber, casting flickering shadows across the walls. Ronald's comm link crackled as Alpha's voice cut through the noise. "Reinforcements inbound. You've got 3 minutes to exfil." Ronald didn't hesitate, his body moving instinctively as he retraced his steps through the fortress. The corridors were alive with chaos now, alien soldiers scrambling to respond to the breach. He moved with the precision of a man who had survived countless missions just like this, his blade and weapon cutting through the opposition with ruthless efficiency. By the time he reached the exit, the Phantom was already waiting, its engines humming softly as it hovered just above the surface. Ronald leapt onto the ship's ramp, the hatch closing behind him as he secured the data chip in a compartment on his suit. "Mission accomplished," he said, sinking into the pilot's chair. "What's next?" Alpha's voice was calm, but there was an edge of urgency to it. "Another target, another fortress." "They'll keep coming, Ronald, and so will you." Ronald's eyes hardened as he set the ship's coordinates for their next destination. "Good. Let them come." The Phantom hurtled through the void, its sleek, matte black hull blending seamlessly with the surrounding darkness. Ronald Alexanderson sat in the cockpit, his hands steady on the controls as the faint glow of distant stars streaked past. His breathing was even, his pulse a steady rhythm in his ears, but the weight of Soren's assassination lingered in the tension of his jaw. "They'll be tracking the energy signature from the fortress," Alpha warned, her voice resonating through the cockpit. "Soren's death won't go unnoticed. Expect retaliation." Ronald smirked faintly, his grip tightening on the controls. "Let them try. The Empire hasn't caught me yet." Even as he spoke, warning signals flashed across the display. A proximity alert blared, and Alpha's voice sharpened. "Incoming. 3 Imperial frigates. They've detected us." Ronald's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical readout. The frigates were closing fast, their configurations built for interception. Smaller fighter drones swarmed from their hangars, a flurry of deadly precision aimed at cornering the Phantom. "They're fast," Ronald muttered, banking hard to the left. The ship's engines roared as it veered off its plotted course, skimming dangerously close to the asteroid field ahead. "But I'm faster." The first barrage hit the asteroid nearest to him, sending chunks of rock spinning into the void. Ronald maneuvered through the debris with ease, his reflexes honed by years of piloting under fire. Plasma bolts lit up the darkness around him, streaks of light carving through the cold expanse of space. Alpha's voice cut through the chaos. Deploying countermeasures. Tiny drones ejected from the Phantom, dispersing in an intricate pattern. Each emitted an energy signature identical to the ship, creating a web of false targets that confused the pursuing fighters. Ronald used a momentary distraction to cut his engines, letting inertia carry him silently into the shadow of a massive asteroid. The ship's cloaking field shimmered, rendering it invisible against the rocky surface. "Status?" Ronald asked, his voice low and calm. "They're scanning," Alpha replied, "but their search grid is inefficient. They're expecting you to run." Ronald's lips curved into a grim smile. "Then they don't know me very well." He powered down all non-essential systems, the ship falling into a near-dead state. Outside, the fighters swarmed, their scanners sweeping the asteroid field like a pack of hunting predators. Ronald watched them, his hand resting lightly on the weapon's control. His heartbeat remained steady, his breathing controlled, as he waited for the perfect moment. One of the fighters strayed too close. The faint distortion of its thrusters rippled across the asteroid's surface. Ronald's hand moved in a blur, activating the ship's pulse cannon with surgical precision. A single, silent shot pierced the void, striking the drone squarely in its power core. It exploded in a blinding flash, the debris scattering like shattered glass. The remaining fighters immediately turned toward the disturbance, their formation tightening. Ronald didn't wait for them to regroup. He powered up the Phantom in a single motion, the engines roaring to life as the ship shot out from its hiding place. The pursuing ship scrambled to react, their plasma fire streaking harmlessly behind him. "They're recalibrating," Alpha said. "Frigates are locking onto your position. You need to create more distance." Ronald's eyes flicked to the navigational display. The asteroid field was dense, its chaotic terrain a dangerous maze of rotating rocks and gravitational eddies. It was a gamble, but he didn't hesitate. He angled the ship sharply, diving deeper into the field. The frigates followed, their larger frames struggling to maneuver through the tight spaces. Plasma bolts ricocheted off nearby asteroids, sending fragments spiraling through the void. Ronald pushed the Phantom to its limits, weaving through the chaos with an almost preternatural sense of timing. Every turn was calculated, every movement precise. The frigates lagged behind, their pilots forced to slow their pursuit to avoid collision. They're bottlenecked, Alpha observed, but the fighters are adapting. They're trying to flank you. Ronald glanced at the readout, noting the fighters closing in from both sides. He adjusted the ship's trajectory, leading them toward a massive asteroid with a hollowed-out core. As the fighters closed the gap, he fired a series of mines behind him, their magnetic fields latching onto the nearest ships. The explosions lit up the asteroid's surface, sending shockwaves rippling through the void. 3 fighters disintegrated in the blast, their remains scattering like ash. The others hesitated, recalibrating their approach. Ronald used the opening to dive into the hollow asteroid, the Phantom skimming its jagged walls as it navigated the tunnel-like interior. This tunnel exits into a debris field, Alpha informed him. It's heavily charged with ionized particles. You won't have full control of the ship. Ronald's jaw tightened. Better than letting them corner me. The Phantom shot out of the asteroid's other side, entering a swirling mass of broken ships and alien wreckage. The ionized particles crackled against the ship's hull, causing the controls to jitter in Ronald's hands. He compensated instinctively, his focus razor-sharp as he guided the ship through the unpredictable terrain. The fighters hesitated at the edge of the debris field, their systems struggling to adjust to the interference. Ronald didn't wait for them to adapt. He powered up the ship's main cannon, firing a concentrated burst into a nearby wreck. The explosion sent a shockwave through the field, destabilizing the fragile equilibrium of the surrounding debris. Chunks of metal and rock spiraled outward, colliding with the pursuing ships. One by one, the fighters fell, their shields overwhelmed by the chaos. The frigates, unable to maneuver through the dense field, pulled back, their pilots unwilling to risk further losses. Ronald exhaled slowly, his muscles unwinding as the Phantom emerged from the debris field. The stars stretched out before him, vast and indifferent. The proximity alarms fell silent, and the ship systems returned to normal. "Status?" he asked, his voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through him. "Pursuers eliminated," Alpha reported. "No signs of reinforcements." "We're clear." Ronald leaned back in his seat, his gaze fixed on the endless expanse of space. The tension in his chest eased slightly, but the weight of the mission remained. Soren was dead, but the Empire's reach was vast, its resources nearly infinite. There would be more battles, more enemies, and more sacrifices. "Set course for the next rendezvous," he said, his tone resolute. "Let's keep them guessing." As the Phantom slipped into hyperspace, the faint glow of Earth's distant sun flickered on the horizon, a reminder of what was at stake. Ronald Alexanderson was a hunted man, a ghost in the galaxy, but he was far from finished. The Empire might have declared war on humanity, but humanity had sent its answer, and Ronald was ready to deliver it, one target at a time. The station loomed ahead like a slumbering giant, its massive silhouette barely visible against the star-specked void. Known as the Nexus Bastion, it was one of the Galactic Empire's most fortified installations, a sprawling nexus of command and control. Ronald Alexanderson sat in the cockpit of the Phantom, his expression set in cold determination. "Intel confirms the target," Alpha said. "High Consul Varyan is inside. He's the architect of the Empire's planetary sieges. Taking him out disrupts their entire chain of command." Ronald's hands tightened around the controls. "What about defenses?" "The Bastion's shields are nearly impenetrable," Alpha replied. "But I've identified a weak point, a small maintenance hatch on the lower tier. It'll give you direct access to the station's central core." Ronald nodded, already calculating his approach. He adjusted the ship's trajectory, the engines humming softly as the Phantom slipped into the station's blind spot. The proximity alarms remained silent, a testament to the ship's advanced stealth systems. As the station grew larger in the viewport, Ronald rose from the pilot's chair, strapping his combat blade and sidearm to his gear. His suit adjusted to the dim lighting, the adaptive material blending seamlessly with the shadows. "Once I'm inside, I'll need a distraction," he said, his tone even. "Leave that to me," Alpha responded. "I'll reroute their internal sensors and trigger a few false alarms. But you'll only have a 20-minute window before they catch on." Ronald gave a curt nod, his jaw set. 20 minutes is more than enough. The maintenance hatch was smaller than anticipated, its opening barely wide enough for Ronald to squeeze through. He maneuvered carefully, his movements precise as he slipped into the dimly lit corridor beyond. The station's interior was sterile and oppressive, its walls lined with pulsating conduits that emitted a faint, sickly glow. Ronald activated his HUD, the tactical overlay mapping out the station's layout. The central core was several levels up, its location heavily guarded. He moved quickly, his steps silent as he navigated the labyrinthine corridors. Every sound, every flicker of light set his nerves on edge, but he remained focused, his mind locked on the mission. "Guards ahead," Alpha warned. 4 of them, heavily armed. Ronald ducked into an alcove, his eyes narrowing as he spotted the patrol. The guards were massive, their armored forms glinting under the dim light. They moved with disciplined precision, their weapons held at the ready. Ronald waited until the patrol passed before stepping out, his blade flashing in the low light. The first guard fell without a sound, the strike precise and lethal. The second turned just in time to see Ronald's shadow descending upon him, but his shout was cut short by the hilt of Ronald's blade crashing into his temple. The remaining 2 guards reacted swiftly, raising their weapons. Plasma fire erupted in the narrow corridor, the bolts scorching the walls as Ronald dove into a roll. He came up behind the nearest guard, his blade finding the gap in the alien's armor. The last guard hesitated, his momentary uncertainty giving Ronald the opening he needed. With a single, fluid motion, he disarmed the guard and sent him sprawling to the floor. "Clear," Ronald muttered, wiping his blade clean. "You're closing in on the core," Alpha said. "But Varion's private guard will be waiting." Ronald didn't respond, his focus narrowing as he moved deeper into the station. The corridors grew wider, the oppressive walls giving way to massive halls lined with towering statues of alien conquerors. The air was colder here, the hum of the station's power core a constant undercurrent. He reached the entrance to the core's chamber, his heart pounding in his chest. The massive doors were flanked by 2 sentries, their imposing forms a stark reminder of the Empire's might. Ronald took a deep breath, his mind sharpening as he prepared for the confrontation. The sentries fell swiftly, their massive size no match for Ronald's speed and precision. He stepped over their lifeless forms, his gaze locking onto the doors as they slid open with a hiss. The chamber beyond was vast, its centerpiece a towering structure of crystalline machinery. The power core pulsed with energy, casting eerie reflections across the room. At its base stood High Consul Varion, his robes flowing like liquid metal. His elongated form was regal and imposing, his gaze cold and calculating as it fixed on Ronald. "So," Varion said, his voice resonating through the chamber, "the humans send their most infamous assassin. I've heard much about you, Ronald Alexanderson." Ronald stepped forward, his blade gleaming under the core's light. "Then you know why I'm here." Varion's lips curved into a faint smile, his eyes glinting with amusement. "Arrogance is a common flaw among your kind. Do you truly believe killing me will stop the Empire?" "It'll slow you down," Ronald replied. "Long enough for humanity to fight back." Varion's smile faded, his expression hardening. "You underestimate us." The consul raised a hand, and the chamber erupted into chaos. Automated turrets emerged from the walls, their barrels glowing with lethal energy. At the same time, a squad of elite guards poured into the room, their weapons trained on Ronald. Ronald moved without hesitation, his blade a blur as he deflected the first wave of plasma fire. He darted between the guards, his movements fluid and unpredictable. Each strike was precise, each action deliberate. The guards fell one by one, their superior numbers meaningless against Ronald's lethal efficiency. The turrets posed a greater challenge, their firepower relentless as they tracked his every move. Ronald activated a cluster of EMP charges, throwing them toward the nearest turret. The charges detonated with a sharp crack, the resulting pulse disabling the turrets in a shower of sparks. Varyan watched the carnage with a calm, almost detached demeanor. When Ronald finally stood before him, the last of the guards dispatched, the consul tilted his head in a gesture of mock respect. "You are formidable," Varyan said, "but you are only one man." Ronald didn't reply, his blade raised as he closed the distance between them. Varyan's robe shimmered as he moved, the metallic fabric hardening into a protective exoskeleton. The consul's speed was startling, his long limbs lashing out with unnatural precision. The clash was brutal, a test of skill and endurance. Ronald's strikes were calculated, his movements honed by years of combat. But Varyan was no ordinary opponent. The consul's strength was inhuman, his blows sending shockwaves through the chamber. Ronald's mind raced as he searched for an opening, his body moving on instinct. The battle was relentless. Each strike met with equal force. Blood dripped from a gash on Ronald's arm, but he ignored the pain, his focus unyielding. Finally, he saw his chance. Varyan overextended, his arrogance leaving him vulnerable. Ronald lunged, his blade piercing the exoskeleton and driving deep into the consul's chest. Varyan's eyes widened, his expression a mixture of shock and rage. "You cannot win," Varyan gasped, his voice faltering. Ronald twisted the blade, his gaze unflinching. "We already have." The consul's body went limp, his form collapsing as Ronald withdrew his blade. The chamber was silent now. The power cores hummed the only sound. Ronald wiped the blood from his weapon, his breathing heavy but steady. "Alpha," he said, his voice low. "Status. System disruption complete," Alpha replied. "The Bastion's command network is offline. We've bought humanity some time." Ronald nodded, his gaze lingering on Varyan's lifeless form. The mission was complete, but the war was far from over. He turned, his steps deliberate as he exited the chamber. The Phantom awaited him, its engines humming softly as he climbed aboard. As the ship slipped into hyperspace, Ronald allowed himself a brief moment of relief. The galaxy was vast, the Empire relentless, but he would continue to fight. Humanity had sent its answer, and Ronald Alexanderson would make sure it was heard.
"You're telling me that thing is the most feared vessel in the 7th Quadrant?" Admiral Zex Taral's 4 eyes narrowed to slits as he peered through the view screen. "It looks like someone welded a garbage scow to a mining platform and called it a day." Lieutenant Krivosh fidgeted with her datapad, clicking nervously. "Sir, I know it doesn't look like much, but intelligence confirms it's the UES Audacity, flagship of the human fleet." The Admiral's scales rippled in what passed for Halaxian laughter. "I've seen pleasure yachts with more intimidating profiles. Are we certain this isn't some elaborate prank?" The bridge fell silent as the officers studied the approaching vessel. By any reasonable standard of galactic shipbuilding, the human craft was an abomination, where Halaxian warships were sleek, symmetrical works of art, their gleaming hulls adorned with ceremonial engravings detailing the crew's lineage and battle honors. This human ship was, well, practical would be the kindest description. Its hull was a patchwork of mismatched metals, with visible welding seams that would make any self-respecting Halaxian engineer commit ritual suicide. Sensor arrays jutted out at seemingly random angles. The propulsion system appeared to have been designed by 3 different species who refused to communicate with each other. "Sir," Captain Drelvor interrupted. "Despite appearances, the Audacity has destroyed 7 Halaxian cruisers, 4 Zentari dreadnoughts, and the supposedly impregnable Polarian defense station, all within the last solar cycle." "Propaganda." Admiral Zex Taral waved a clawed hand dismissively. "The primitive apes are trying to intimidate us with wild stories." "Respectfully, sir, we have confirmation footage." The Admiral's crest flattened against his skull, a sign of irritation among his kind. Fine, show me. The main view screen flickered, displaying battle footage that made the Admiral's blood run cold. The ugly human ship moved like nothing he'd ever seen, breaking every rule of space combat that had governed galactic warfare for millennia. It didn't maintain formation. It didn't follow traditional attack vectors. It just charged. "By the Emperor's sacred eggs," he whispered, as he watched the human vessel ram straight through a Zentari shield wall that should have atomized anything that touched it. "How is that possible?" Lieutenant Krivosh cleared her throat. "Our analysts believe they've installed some kind of modified deflector technology on their bow. But sir, that's not even the concerning part." The footage continued, showing the human ship taking hit after hit from Polarian plasma cannons, weapons that could vaporize small moons. The audacity just kept coming, its mismatched hull plates glowing red from the assault. "Those aren't even proper armor plates," the Admiral muttered in disbelief. "They're using... is that scaffolding?" "Yes, sir," Captain Drelvor confirmed. "Apparently, they've layered standard construction materials in a pattern that disperses energy weapons. It's crude but effective." "Effective? It's insane!" The Admiral's voice rose an octave. "No species designs warships this way." "Humans do, sir." Aboard the UES Audacity, Captain Finn Reeves slouched in his command chair, one leg draped over the armrest in blatant violation of every military posture regulation ever written. His uniform jacket hung open, revealing a t-shirt with the faded logo of a pre-unification rock band. "They're still just sitting there," he remarked, taking a sip from his coffee mug. "Think they're impressed with our shiny new additions?" Commander Alexis Lee snorted from her tactical station. "We don't have a paint job, sir. Engineering just welded on the armor plates from that derelict Juraxian freighter we salvaged last month." "Exactly," Finn grinned. "Looks impressive as hell, doesn't it?" The bridge crew exchanged knowing glances. Their captain's definition of impressive had always been questionable at best. "Sir," Communications Officer Dale Richards spoke up. "We're receiving a transmission from the Halaxian flagship." "On screen," Finn ordered, straightening slightly but not bothering to button his jacket. "Let's see what the lizard people want." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of Admiral Zex Taral. His ceremonial armor gleamed with precious metals. An elaborate head crest signified his noble bloodline going back countless generations. "Human vessel," the Admiral began, his translator struggling to convey the appropriate level of condescension. "You have violated sovereign Halaxian space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or face immediate destruction." Finn took another slow sip of coffee, deliberately making the Halaxian wait. "Admiral, Zex Taral was it? Cool name. Very intimidating. Look, there seems to be a misunderstanding. According to the Galactic Concordat, Article 7, Subsection 12, which your Empire signed, by the way, this is neutral space. This region has been claimed by the Halaxian Empire for... Yeah, for time immemorial. I know the speech," Finn interrupted, examining his fingernails. "But you can't just stick your flag on something and call it yours." "Well, I mean, humans used to do that too, but we eventually figured out it was kind of a dick move." The Admiral's scales darkened with rage. "You dare to lecture me on galactic law? The Halaxian Empire was exploring the stars while your ancestors were still figuring out how to make fire. And yet somehow we're the ones with the better coffee," Finn replied, raising his mug in a mock toast. "Look, we're just passing through. We've got some humanitarian supplies to deliver to the Novan colony. Let us through and we'll be on our merry way." "The Novans are under Halaxian protection. They require nothing from humans." Finn's easy smile didn't waver, but something hardened in his eyes. "Funny thing about that, we got a distress call saying your protection includes taking 90% of their harvest and leaving them to starve. Not very neighborly." The Admiral's face contorted with fury. "The internal affairs of Halaxian protectorates are none of your concern. You will withdraw immediately or what?" Finn leaned forward, his casual demeanor evaporating. "You'll add us to the list of ships you've threatened this month? That's a pretty long list, Admiral. The Galactic Council's getting pretty tired of it, to be honest." "The Council has no authority over..." "Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there," Finn cut in. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to let us pass. We're going to deliver these supplies. And then we're going to have a nice chat about your Empire's definition of protection. Or..." He let the word hang in the air. Admiral Zex Taral's crest rose in challenge. "Or what, human?" Finn's smile returned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Or we do this the hard way. Your choice." The transmission cut off abruptly. "That went well?" Commander Lee remarked dryly. Finn shrugged. "About as expected. Options?" We could try to outrun them, Tactical Officer Walsh suggested. The new engine modifications should give us enough speed. We could also try to reason with them, proposed Lieutenant Commander Raj, the ship's diplomat. Halaxians respond to displays of strength, but also to appeals to honor. Or, Engineer Garcia chimed in from her station, we could use that prototype device we found in the asteroid belt last month. Finn perked up. The phase inverter? It's a prototype dimensional displacement unit, Garcia corrected. And yes, the unusual alien technology. Will it work? Garcia shrugged. Maybe. Physics says it shouldn't, but human physics and alien physics seem to disagree sometimes. Worth a shot. That's the spirit. Finn clapped his hands together. Let's try the prototype device. Admiral Zex Tarrell was seething. The sheer audacity, no, the audacity of these humans was beyond comprehension. They showed no proper respect, no understanding of galactic protocols that had been established for millennia. Target their propulsion systems, he ordered. I want that ship disabled, not destroyed. The Emperor will want to study their technology. Sir, the weapons officer replied. They appear to be doing something. The Admiral turned to the view screen. The human ship was indeed doing something, though what exactly was anyone's guess. A strange device had extended from its hull, a spinning array of interconnected rings that pulsed with an eerie blue light. What in the name of the sacred ancestors is that? The Admiral demanded. Unknown, sir. Our sensors can't identify the technology. Is it a weapon? Uncertain, sir. It's emitting some kind of... The officer never finished his sentence. A wave of blue energy erupted from the human ship, washing over the Halaxian fleet. Alarms blared as systems throughout the flagship began to shut down. Report, the Admiral barked. All weapons offline. Shields failing. Engineering reports the power core is... Sir, they say it's singing. Singing? What does that even mean? Before anyone could answer, the ship's communication system activated on its own. Music, loud rhythmic human music, blasted through every speaker on the ship. Another one bites the dust, proclaimed a human voice, followed by a distinctive bass line that seemed to vibrate through the very hull of the ship. The Admiral's hands flew to the auditory openings on either side of his head. Make it stop! We can't, sir! We've lost control of all systems! On the view screen, the Admiral watched in horror as the human ship casually drifted past his immobilized fleet, occasionally spinning to avoid colliding with the now helpless Halaxian vessels. They're waving at us, sir, Lieutenant Krivosh reported in disbelief. Indeed, on the external cameras, they could see several humans pressed against the viewports of their ship, making exaggerated waving gestures in what appeared to be crude Halaxian salutes. The Emperor will have my head for this, the Admiral muttered. I can't believe that actually worked, Commander Lee said, shaking her head as the Audacity cruised past the frozen Halaxian fleet. Finn grinned like a child who'd just gotten away with stealing cookies. Garcia, remind me to put you in for a commendation. That prototype device is officially my new favorite weapon. It's not technically a weapon, Garcia pointed out. It's more like, well, I don't actually know what it is. The aliens who built it probably used it as a doorstop or something. Whatever it is, it just took out 15 warships without firing a shot, Finn replied. And it has the added bonus of forcing them to listen to classic rock. If that doesn't embody humanity's approach to space combat, I don't know what does. Dale Richards looked up from his communications console. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Nova Colony. They're throwing a party in our honor. Apparently, the Halaxians have been making their lives miserable for years. A party, huh? Finn rubbed his hands together. Tell them we accept. But first, let's deliver these supplies. And someone find out how long our device will keep the lizard fleet incapacitated. I'd prefer not to have them crash our party. As the Audacity approached the small colony planet, Finn couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. The ship might be ugly as sin, a cobbled-together collection of salvaged parts and improvised solutions, but it got the job done. Just like humanity itself. You know, he mused to no one in particular. I bet those Halaxian ships cost a fortune to build. All that ceremonial plating, the artistic engravings, the color-coordinated plasma conduits. Whereas we built the Audacity for roughly the price of a medium-sized shopping mall, Lee added. Exactly, efficiency, Finn declared, as if that explained everything. Now let's go help some colonists, and then teach them how to dance to Queen. The Nova Colony was a small settlement on a planet that most species would consider barely habitable. High gravity, thin atmosphere, and temperature fluctuations that could give even the hardiest life forms whiplash. But for humans, and the hardy Novan settlers who'd evolved in similar conditions, it was just another Tuesday. As the Audacity landed on the makeshift spaceport, which was really just a flattened field with some landing lights, Finn could see hundreds of colonists gathering to welcome them. The Novans were humanoid, though shorter and stockier, adapted to their high-gravity world. Their skin had a bluish tint that made them look perpetually cold, but their smiles were warm.